The GoPro Hero 6 is currently the king of the action camera market, but the more budget-minded Xiaomi Mijia is also a pretty good option that can match it in certain modes. Is the GoPro worth twice the price? And if you go for the budget option, are you wasting your money? Let's find out.
What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Welcome to a series of videos I am so excited to make, in which we find out if the Mijia 4K is worth getting. On Monday, we talked about my initial impressions of the Mijia. Today we're going to talk about how it compares against the highest of the high-end cameras, the GoPro Hero 6 Black. And on Friday, we'll cover how it holds up against my favorite budget action camera, the Yeelight. So how well does the Mijia 4K stand up to the current king of the action camera market? Well, first off, let's cover some of the major specs against each other before we get into the pillars of something or other, you know, maybe the most important thing about action cameras ever. The GoPro Hero 6 Black was released in September of 2017. It can record in 4K 60 frames per second, 2.7K at 120 frames per second, and 1080p at 240 frames per second. It still surprises the heck out of me when I say that. And as of today, late August 2018, the GoPro Hero 6 Black is $399. It comes equipped with a proprietary GoPro processor called the GP1, and it has some kind of sensor in it. They don't actually list it. I assume it's Sony. That's a guess though. I don't actually know. The Xiaomi Mijia 4K, on the other hand, doesn't apparently have a specific release date, but the earliest I can find it on Amazon was August of 2017. It can also record in 4K. It can do 30 frames per second in 4K, 2.7K at 60 frames per second, 1080p at 100 frames per second, and 720p at 200 frames per second. It comes equipped with an Umbrella processor, older GoPros also use these, and a Sony IMX sensor. As far as the price tag, today you could get one of these on Amazon for around 130 bucks. Both do have roughly the same sensor size, and you know what? That's enough of the specs. Let's get into it. So the best way to compare action cameras against each other is to see which one is held up highest by the pillars of action. I love yelling that. First up, ease of use. Action cameras are small, so there isn't much room for physical buttons. Thus, touchscreens are a really great way around this limitation, and it makes it so much easier in two ways. One, you can easily change up your settings on the fly, and two, it lets you see what the camera is recording. When on older action cameras, and some current ones like my Sony FDR-X 3000, you just kind of have to hope that you're getting what you want. Both cameras do have touchscreens on the back. The Mijia has a slightly larger touchscreen, and both are perfectly functional for changing settings. However, right out of the gate, the GoPro takes a very quick lead. I feel like I sound like a broken record here, but I still have not come across anything that comes even close to the ease of use of the GoPro Hero line since the Hero 5 Black came out. It is just so darn fast and so darn easy to change the settings that it is really the gold standard to beat. Pillar number 2, durability. If you are new to the channel, I have a habit of dropping my gear. It happens all the time. It happens on videos while I'm filming, it happens during the live streams. I'm very rough on my gear. So I need gear that is durable. And if you're gonna be bold enough to title something Action Anything, that definitely leads to the connotation that it's durable. So if an action camera is not durable, it's just a camera. It's not an action camera. And again, GoPro clears the table on this. I promise I'm not a GoPro fanboy. I spent 6 months telling people not to get a GoPro Hero 6, but credit where it's due. The two things they really have on lock is ease of use and durability. Nothing else in the market is as easily waterproof without a case, and I drop it all the time and it just keeps going. That's not to say the Mijia doesn't feel durable. It certainly feels fine. Some other cameras that cost around the same amount feel like garbage, and I think the Mijia will hold up perfectly well to light outdoor activities. However, the main problem is it doesn't come with any sort of case. You can buy one, but I think all action cameras should come included with a case if they aren't inherently waterproof. I really get irritated with companies that don't send any kind of accessories to increase the durability if you're gonna do things that limit the durability. All action cameras should be able to be waterproof in some way, shape, or form straight out of the box. Pillar number 3, compatibility with GoPro style gimbals and accessories. GoPro, well, it's a GoPro, check. Mijia, well, it's a GoPro clone. Check. As a traditional GoPro clone, the Mijia is shaped almost identical to the Hero 6 Black. It's a little slimmer and longer, but it still works perfectly fine with my Feiyutech G5 gimbal, and with the 1/4-inch mount on the bottom, you can easily adapt it to work with the standard GoPro mounts. I do like the mounting options for the Mijia better. That built-in 1/4-inch mount is so useful, and I really wish GoPros would start to implement this. It just makes it so easy to not need to put the case on, then get the adapter, and then screw it onto the tripod. You can just take certain action cameras, screw them straight onto a tripod. It's just so much easier and ease of use, right? I like it. GoPros, please start putting a tripod mount on the bottom. Pillar number 4, decent, not perfect image quality. I say decent image quality for this pillar for one main reason. We already mentioned that action cameras are very small cameras, and because of that, they have to cram so much into such a small package, plus they have to fit in proper heat management. Basically, it's a nightmare to fit so much complicated stuff into such a small package, so they really have to use a tiny sensor, which leads to meh image quality a lot of the times. The GoPro does have really good image quality. It's actually surprising that GoPro was able to get this much mileage out of such a small censored camera. The Mijia, on the other hand, is decent. It's clearly not as good as the GoPro, but I think for the price, it holds up perfectly well. It can't record in all the same settings as the GoPro, but I personally think 1080p 60 frames per second is the perfect action recording setting. So the playing field, in my opinion, is a little more level than the specs make it seem. And this is a low light / audio test of the two action cameras. So this is the exact same setup, the exact same lighting that we just had with my Sony a7 III. So you can kind of tell like how they're gonna work if you try to use them indoors or in low light. They're both gonna have some extra noise. These tiny sensors generally need a lot of light to make a really good image. So this is the image and the audio coming out of the GoPro Hero 6 Black. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the image quality and the audio coming out of the Mijia 4K. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as much crap as I give the Hero 6 Black for its audio, I'm starting to come around to it. I actually, compared to other action cameras out there, the GoPro Hero 6 Black has pretty good audio. The Mijia's biggest weakness, and we'll talk about this more here in a second, is the audio is pretty bad. I don't know what it is. It's going to be peaking a whole bunch, and we're probably going to be using a lot of the audio out of the GoPro Hero 6 for this scene because it's pretty rough. The gain's a little too high on the Mijia, but either way, here's the image quality. Back to the video. And my personal favorite pillar, stabilization. Both cameras have electronic image stabilization built in. The GoPro can stabilize all the way up to 4K 30 frames per second, and the Mijia can stabilize up to 1080p 60 frames per second. Stabilization on the GoPro is next level good. Seriously, I keep saying it's surprising, but it is incredible how well the GoPro Hero 6 is able to stabilize its footage. It is darn near gimbal-like. The Mijia, on the other hand, does a pretty good job itself stabilizing its 1080p footage, which again is surprising because for the low price tag of the camera, I would normally not think to get both 4K and decent stabilization out of such a budget camera. So what, right? So which of these action cameras come out on top? Well, obviously the GoPro pretty handily beats the Mijia, and it should. It costs more than twice the amount of the Mijia, so I would expect it to sweep the board, and it mostly does. I still wish it had a 1/4-inch tripod mount. But if you don't want to spend $400, does the Mijia hold up? And yes, I really think it does. The biggest weakness of the Mijia is the audio. It's pretty bad. It's something like the internal gain of the camera is set way too high, so even when you are recording in a quiet studio space, it's just too much and it peaks all the time. But for the price, I think it is a pretty darn good little action camera. Stay tuned to Friday where we see if the Mijia is worth it against my favorite budget action camera of all time, the Yeelight. Thanks for watching.